Hey, I want to welcome everybody. This is the workers video that we're going to try something new on for the White Hills race. We figured this would be easier than having to do a workers meeting, considering there's so many people that are volunteering their time, energy, and effort. Instead of getting everybody together, we figured let's watch this video, kind of see what the expectations are, make sure you're still on board. And I want to thank every single one of you for using signups.com to help streamline this process so we don't have to constantly keep chasing PMs and emails and Facebook messages and Instagrams and so on and so forth. So I want to start off by saying thank you to every single one of the workers that are volunteering your time. You don't understand how big of a deal this is. To the ghostwriters, to myself, to Rob Bell, to the race directors, to the sweep riders, to everybody. I cannot say thank you enough, including from the AMRA end of spending your time on a weekend to help support this race and to help support the club. Um, just to kind of give you an idea and some transparency on this, is what you're doing today is going to directly pay off in the future for the club's activities, whether that be the trail building activities, the family fun days, the volunteer projects. If you notice, I'm wearing a Project Enduro for Vets hat. There's also Wounded Warrior projects and other volunteer agencies that we support and we are a part of every single day, and the people that we help out both inside the club and outside the club. So the payoff for you volunteering your time is going to come through the next year. um, I'm coming to you in a t-shirt on a Sunday night in my office, as ragged as it gets, to also show you that I'm volunteering just as much. And I appreciate every single one of you. So I just want to go through a couple things. I just have the signups up, and I'm going to go through a couple spots and what the expectations are and kind of give you a timeline for each one. So we're going to go through, let's start with the checkpoint workers first. Actually, I'm going to take that back. We're going to go with the site workers and some of the easier jobs first to volunteer for. Site workers. If you sign up to be a site worker, I appreciate it. What that involves is helping getting the AMR banners up, getting the Ghost Rider banners up. Parking is going to be a big deal for this race. So make sure that you can help with the parking and keeping people organized. Now, the expectation with parking is they're going to use the overflow down the road, the bigger parking area first. And once that's filled and the side of the roads are filled, we're then going to allow the minis, and then the minis with adults and trailers to come into the main staging area. We want that bigger area up the road filled with adults first, because they're more responsible crossing the major road and minimize the amount of minis that we have over there. But let's fill that area up first, and then we can start moving into the main staging area. I don't want to fill the main staging area to its capacity and then try to use that as the overflow. So let's go out and then work our way in. Also, just a kind of heads up on this too, I'm 100% subject to being wrong. So, and things are subject to change. So please just kind of take this with a grain of salt, as this is what we've kind of talked about ahead of time to help streamline the processes and everything. So we have a nice, clean, easy race. There will be an off-duty police officer that helps cross the road on the day of the race. Friday there will not be, nor will there be on Sunday. So that's going to be a caution. We also have another spot for site workers. That's pretty much all your job is. Your job is pretty straightforward and easy. It's going to be making sure banners, traffic flow, help with anything and everything that's going to be involved in the registration area and the parking areas to make sure that our permit stays intact and everything goes according to plan, and to help support where needed. You're kind of definitely our eyes and ears to everybody, all the other positions, and a huge help nonetheless. So that'll be the site workers. We have you listed from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. That'll be probably the key time, especially with helping with mowing through the registration lines and keeping that organized. Next is going to be equipment support. We need side-by-sides, trucks, etc. We need some people with some heavy lifting equipment to help get some of that stuff moved into position, flyers and spots, markers down the forest roads to the easier staging areas so people can put the markers out. We're not carrying them all. There's a forest road that cuts the loop in half. Somebody that can get the stuff down to that area to where our guys can ride down with staple guns, refill their supplies, or grab your supplies off your side-by-side or truck to help mark the course. It'll just streamline everything. It is so much better. Friday, that's going to be especially big. Saturday, it's going to be really big when it comes to the start line area, but it'll be a limited amount. Next, so that's it for equipment support. Next is going to be registration side of the house. This is a big one. Registration is going to be as many hands as we can humanly get to help keep the line moving clean, nice, neat, organized flow. Now, this will be briefed the day of the event, and it's going to be pretty much a long morning. Plan on a 5 to 5:30 wake up and meet up, making sure everything's good to go prior to the racers showing up, and then going all the way probably till 9:15, 9:30's riders meeting by the time the registration area is actually done. This involves selling t-shirts. This involves selling hot dog tickets. This involves the actual registration of riders from the AMAs, the AMRAs, and other cards and stuff like that. So this job is key and super important. Plan on a 5:30 showtime on Saturday morning. Plan on going all the way until we call and knock it off. We also remember we have the minis race as well. So this will be a very long morning, but once the races kick off, we should be good to go and done with that. I will personally, myself and Rob Bell will personally be in the registration area to help support. Lee Cunningham will be as well. And Sarah will be. So there's going to be some key personnel there. If you're helping out with registration or you can help with registration, please find myself, Rob Bell, Lee, or Sarah, and then ask, what can I do to help? And then sometimes that just involves sitting down and just doing the AMA paperwork or the AMR paperwork. Huge help for those guys. So it's a very straightforward job, just kind of a little bit of a chaotic morning. Plan on a lot of walk-ups. Sweep riders. All right, let's have this conversation. Sweep riders are going to be in a very, very key and important role. We have 10 of them listed. These are going to be broken into groups. Remember, this is an enduro, so everybody's going to be going off in 15-second intervals, starting at 1A at 9 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. So sweep riders are going to break themselves into mid-packs. Ideally, we would like to have one in the middle of A. Most likely A's won't need sweeps, so we'll probably put one at the end of A. B's, C's. I'm trusting that our sweep riders, looking at my list right now, is competent and able enough to be able to sweep the areas in which they are assigned and be able to make sure that these riders are getting through safely and having accountability for all these riders. Now, these riders are ultimately responsible for calling in medical emergencies. They're responsible for calling knock-it-offs on races in the event of a serious medical emergency. They're also responsible for touching base with emergency medical teams. There will be a map provided that will show colors and areas that will be used by all sweep riders. We won't be using generic terms. We won't be using, hey, this big loop, little loop. It'll be very clearly defined in our meeting at probably 5:30 or 6 on Saturday morning. Every single sweep rider will be there to go over expectations, to go over equipment, to go over your day. So sweep riders, you guys know you have a very important job. The super minis will be on the course. Super minis will be on the course with the bigs. Now, they will be on the bigs behind the C's. Now, that does pose a new challenge. Whoever's sweeping back of C's may get run over by super minis. So, sweeps need to be mindful of that. That's just because you're sweeping the back of C's doesn't mean that somebody else can pass you that's a racer. So please be respectful of that as well. If you're sweeping the back of C, you need to stay at the back of C. Do not pass a C rider and then claim that the area is clear. If you are assigned to the back of a pack, stay at the back of the pack until that last rider of that pack is clear of that area. And then you call in the radio, last B through this, last C through this. The reason this exists is we may have to hold our A riders, our double A riders, and our B riders from test 3, depending on the condition and the status of where those super minis and those slow Cs are currently staged at. So your job is super critical to give us the eyes and the ears via the radio of where the location of every rider is, so that way we can start a race accordingly. It's not a big deal if we have to stall a race by 15 minutes or do 15-minute stalls from that point on test 3 and test 4. So in the event of an emergency, it will be a 15-minute stall, then we start, and then everything is just on 15-minute delay for 3 and 4. Not a very hard concept, but we're going to rely on you sweep riders to actually give us the eyes and ears. If we don't hear from you, we're going to assume one thing. So communication from all sweep riders is going to be super critical to make sure that we know where everyone is on the course at all times and the condition of all the riders at all times. If we have a bottleneck, we need to know about the bottleneck so that way start and registration can send more check workers to a certain area to assist in a bottleneck and prevent it from happening again. There will be a couple really rough areas that will be close to the start line that we may have a bottleneck and we may have people staged at. So super important job. Please take the sweep riding job very seriously. And you guys are the lifeblood of this race. Without you guys doing your job, this race is going to just kind of look weird. So, really important. Please, 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 all sweep riders, understand the importance that are placed upon your shoulders on this and the expectations that are placed upon your shoulders. Moving on to Tech Inspect. Tech Inspect is going to be part of registration. I got 3 guys signed up for this. We're going to split this into 3 lines at the registration. So as soon as they're done with registration, they're going to have their front number plate. Their front number plate is going to cover their headlight. If they have a headlight, don't be surprised by that. The reason is the headlights are sometimes blocking check workers from seeing the number on the front number plate and writing it down on the backup sheet. So Tech Inspect is responsible to make sure that that front number plate is properly installed and covering their headlight on their bike prior to them going out. You will have 2 spots to sign off X initial as you see fit of those 2 spots, one of which is going to be Tech Inspect, making sure they have a spark arrestor. Spark arrestor has its own block. You're going to check for a spark arrestor at that point. You're going to initial or sign at that point saying that they had a spark arrestor at the time of Tech Inspect. You're also going to look over their bike, make sure their front number plate's installed properly, right safety equipment, everything looks good. Go over anything that may be of concern per the AMA rulebook and the AMR rulebook. Address any concerns. If there's any concerns about a bike's condition or CCs, please bring it up to myself and the race referees, and we'll handle those accordingly. Tech Inspect, your job is very straightforward. The biggest thing is the front number plate's installed, spark arrestors are installed, and that you sign on their front number plate in both those blocks. If there's no signature on the front number plate under Tech Inspect or over Tech Inspect or Sparky, we're going to assume they did not go through Tech Inspect and they have to go back through. 3 lines, A, B, and C. This is going to streamline the process quite fast. It's going to be real easy. A line, B line, C line, and that will be set up on Friday night, and they will go right through registration, get their bike, go to Tech Inspect, and then they're done, and they're ready to race. So that is pretty much the key positions. Well, some are not on here. Checkpoints are on here. So the checkpoints, these workers, I cannot thank you guys enough for what you sacrifice on this one. Yes, it is a very long day, so I'm going to prepare you guys mentally and get what everybody talks about on check workers. Yes, be prepared for a long day. Yes, bring snacks, food, water, ample materials to keep yourself occupied during that time. Check workers you're going to be either stationary or in the starting area for the entire duration of the entire race. The entire race is scheduled from between 10 o'clock start to about 3 o'clock finish on average, hopefully sooner than that. You guys will be in position. We're going to do another 5:36 a.m. meeting with you guys to have a conversation, make sure everybody's on the same page and understand what your duties are. But then from that point on, you guys will know your duties. You go to your respected areas at your respected times, and then we're hoping and praying that you guys stay there. Please, please, please. These checkpoints will be manned at 3 people at each check, and additional workers will be needed at the obstacles. You guys will have radio contact with us as well. We'll pull you off as we pull you off. As the season super minis go through, that'll obviously alleviate a lot of stress because you won't need to be helping people up some mountains or cliffs, and we kind of go from there. So I ask for a lot of flexibility. I plan on a very long day of being out there, and please pack accordingly. As kind of a little surprise that got confirmed today is there will be a hot dog stand for riders to buy a hot dog and a bottle of water at the checkpoints. Workers, we plan on giving you guys that as well. So plan on at least some food, but plan on, as lessons learned, bring enough to food, water, whatever. Even staging a cooler at the starting line is perfectly fine with us as well, as long as it gets down there before 9 a.m. Stage a cooler down there with waters and sodas and whatever you guys need. Please, no alcohol from any and all check workers on the course, riding the course, or working the course. I severely frown upon, and the club will severely frown upon you sitting there helping people up obstacles while slamming a trail soda, as I've just recently heard it called. Please, water, sodas, Gatorades during the event, please, for my checkpoint workers. Would be much appreciated. It is an appearance thing and also an inebriation thing. So Yeah, this is a lot of information to go over for everybody. Plan on a 5:30 or 6 a.m. meeting to go over this stuff on Saturday morning prior to start of registration, which is going to be a lot of stress and a lot of work to get everybody in. And then from that point on, we have the actual race itself. There's going to be phases to this: registration, writers meeting. Once the writers meeting's done, 10:01 we kick off. We're going. From that point on, mini races are in the afternoon. Please hang out for the mini races. Those are not slated to be long, 30 minutes and then a 45-minute race. Please help out with that. That is much closer to camp. You do not need to be all the way out in the race course. Just parking your bike and just staging and helping kids would be greatly appreciated. Understand too that if we don't have enough check workers for the mini race, we can't hold a mini race, or we don't have enough people to work the mini race, we can't have a mini race, and that would be very disappointing. And frankly, it really can't happen. So would appreciate all the help as well in the mini race. I kind of expect everybody that signed up to also be signing up for the mini race as well. We're not going to treat them as two separate entities, but we're going to treat them as one. And we'll be able to knock that out. Then the day is done. It's just a one-day race only. Sunday, we'll do cleanup. Friday afternoon, we'll do cleanup. Kind of on the cleanup point, if we call done, last sweep riders are what was we found super helpful. Last sweep riders that are going through the course, following the last last slow B rider through the last mileage, starts pulling down arrows and balling them up as much as you can, dropping them on the trail in a ball, so that way somebody can go behind them with a trash bag and start picking up the balls of trash, and we can clean off the course in a very quick time. We will be back out Sunday morning to do one last sweep, but let's not rely on Sunday morning sweep to get everything. Sunday morning sweep should be done as a final check to make sure the Forest Service is good to go. Check out what any and all damage that's been done to the trail, and we kind of address it from that point on, because we do have to give an after action report to the Forest Service. So with all that being said, while this is a lot, I know there's going to be a million questions. Please feel free to ask them. The biggest takeaways are Saturday morning, 5:30, 6 a.m., 5:30-ish, 6 a.m. Workers meeting. From that point on, you'll get your assigned times and locations. Then everybody can go about their day, help make this an absolutely amazing race. If you're done, please help out. If you're done early, please help out where you can. Understand it is going to be chaotic, and we are going to need people in different locations, and it would be greatly appreciated if you could help out in other areas. That's pretty much all I got. Like I said, ask questions. Those are the key takeaways, and I appreciate you spending the time to help us put on an amazing race. Thank you, guys.